I broke it down yesterday, and I did get something wrong in this thread. Constitutional lawyer Keith Wilson corrects me. My YouTube thread, my
X thread.
I got the embargoed documents while I was on the live stream yesterday, so I didn't get a chance to look at them until after, and I was like, holy moly, things just got real in Alberta.
Did they ever?
Alberta just made a referendum on separation realistic, and they did it the day after Mark Carney became Prime Minister. Here's what you need to know. Yesterday, Mark Carney won a Liberal minority thanks to Ontario, Quebec, and Atlantic Canada. And I should say also to the implosion of the NDP like a dying star. Today, Alberta introduced a bill that quietly makes it possible to hold a referendum on leaving Canada. Coincidence? Definitely not a chance. This has been in the works, I guess, since the writing was on the wall. In the UCP's new Election Statutes Amendment Act is a change to the Citizen Initiative Act, a law that allows regular people to propose referendums, even on constitutional issues like separation. Until now, it was a joke. Under Jason Kenney, the rules required signatures from 20% of all eligible voters in just 90 days. That's over 600,000 names.
Nearly impossible.
Yeah.
Impossible for any movement.
Precisely. It was built to fail. Daniel Smith just changed that. Now you only need 10% of the people who voted in the last election. So not eligible voters, people who voted in the last election.
Ooh.
Which is why my number here is wrong. I was all excited. I was doing math on the fly. Constitutional lawyer Keith Wilson corrects me and says it's closer to 170,000 and not 208,000 signatures, which is totally doable. So it's not just a symbolic, here's your direct democracy that you can never achieve law anymore. She made it real. It's enough so that you won't get tied up in nuisance referendums, but it is a surmountable goal now.
Incredible.
So, let that sink in. As the Laurentian elites cheer Carney's coronation, Alberta just unlocked a legal path to break away from Ottawa. This isn't saber-rattling, it's legislation. And the bill includes a bunch of other good things, too. It bans vote tabulators, tightens ID rules, allows special ballots for anyone, because we saw a lot of problems with oil and gas workers in BC not getting special ballots.
Right, working way up north in camps and not being able to vote at all. Yeah, so.
Yeah, and brings back corporate and union donations. So companies that are hit with bad government policy, they really didn't have a voice because corporations are really just people, right?
Right.
And to make it fair, they brought back in union donations, which should excite the NDP, but it's with disclosure, so you know where the funds are coming from. So to make it fair, it's not just rigging the system for conservatives. But the referendum clause is a real change. Albertans have been watching the Liberals hijack our resources, demonize our industries, ignore our votes, and attack our culture of freedom and self-reliance. Now they've been handed a tool to fight back, not with protests, not with hashtags, but with a referendum. And for the first time in Alberta history, this isn't a fantasy. It's a form, it's a timeline, and it's a number, which is now actually 170,000. Now, this change, as I said, doesn't guarantee Alberta's exit, but it opens the door to the gate. And now the question is, who's ready to walk through it and who will follow after Saskatchewan, who actually are more separatists than us here in Alberta with a little bit less fanfare, as you tend to do things over there.
That's right. So yesterday I tweeted, who else thinks Saskatchewan needs to pass identical legislation like tomorrow? And I tagged Premier Scott Moe just so he gets a feeling for what the people of Saskatchewan are thinking. It's incredible. Well, I think we're gonna take a look at some of the things that Scott Moe said in a press conference yesterday, and it sounds as though he's kind of going to give the Mark Carney government a chance and a little bit of leeway, whereas I think the sentiment of the people of Saskatchewan are, we're done. A great many Saskies are looking at what the Eastern elites just did to us in this last federal election. We've had 120 years of abuse by the federal government, and we want control of our own prosperity and our own future. The buddy that I just got off the phone with, the brilliant one, said, nostalgia isn't enough to keep us as part of Confederation. Nostalgia is not enough. We need action. We need it right now. And I did a little bit of research, Sheila, Gunn, Reid, and this is what we need. This is what we need for Saskatchewan. And don't you know that I just closed the screen that I needed? Hang on, I'll pull it back up. Okay. Saskatchewan citizens can initiate a referendum by submitting a petition to the Chief Electoral Officer. The petition must be signed by at least 15% of the total number of electors in Saskatchewan, which equates to approximately 131,000 signatures based on recent estimates. So it's a tiny bit. The bar is a tiny.
Yeah, they're rigging it on you guys.
The bar is a little bit, which is why we need to encourage Premier Scott Moe and the government of Saskatchewan to lower that bar, just like Danielle Smith did, because if we lowered it to 10% of all voters in the last election, this would be absolutely doable for the people of Saskatchewan. So you take the population of Moose Jaw, you take the population of Yorkton, Estevan, and Weyburn, and we would be able to ask a question that goes something like, do you want to remain part of the country of Canada, or do you want to be prosperous and survive? So yeah, here he goes. Here's our Scott Moe.
Well, and this isn't just about a referendum on separation. These are citizen-led initiatives on anything. Like, do you want to adopt your own provincial anthem? Do you want to change the provincial colors? Do you want to do a different flag? If there's enough citizen-led momentum, they can get this done on any issue. And I think it is good that Danielle Smith lowered the bar for Albertans to be able to hold her government accountable on any issue.
Let's face it, Canada's economy isn't heading in the right direction. Inflation's eating away your savings, and government debt is out of control. No politician is going to fix that overnight. With Guildhall Wealth, you can hold real physical gold and silver inside your RRSP. It's a time-tested way to protect your retirement and take back control of your wealth. Call 1-877-8-SILVER or visit guildhallwealth.com/rebel to request your free investor kit. And hey, make sure to mention Rebel News.
Makes the government closer to the people, which is what you want.
Exactly that, because referendums are binding by the so if the people of Alberta or Saskatchewan or both take their question to a referendum and the people decide, the government is bound by the decision of the people to follow through on the question that was asked. So it is an incredible tool that is not often used by the people of Western Canada, but I think that we are going to see that change. I think that we are going to see that change and really, really fast. So it's so exciting.
And we can use it on recall. We can use it on recall in Alberta. Also, we have this built into law. It's the Taxpayer Protection Act. If the government wants to raise our taxes, bring in a sales tax, they have to go to referendum to us for our approval, which means they're never going to do it. It's lovely, because who would agree to that? Who in their right mind would agree to that except Toronto boomers who vote Mark Carney?
Exactly.
We've got, pardon my sniffling, it must be disgusting, but we have Premier Smith announcing changes to Alberta's elections to make them more transparent following Mark Carney's election victory. So this is her announcing the changes to the Citizen Initiative Act.
Okay.
I'm pleased to be here with Mickey Amory, Alberta's Minister of Justice, to announce changes to the way our elections work in the province. I believe democracy thrives when people trust the process. They need to know that they can take part in a simple and easily accessible process. They need to be confident in and to trust the election results. And they need to know where financial support for candidates and parties comes from. So we are introducing Bill 54, which is the Election Statutes Amendment Act, to make elections at every level in Alberta more transparent and democratic. If passed, the use of electronic tabulators and other automated voting machines would be eliminated, requiring all ballots to be counted by hand to protect election integrity. The unofficial vote counts will be required to be complete within 12 hours of polls closing to provide timely, reliable results, ensuring Albertans receive fast and accurate election results. The practice of vouching at voting stations, where a voter without identification could simply have their identity vouched for and verified by another eligible voter, will end. Our government has made a commitment to restore public confidence in identification and voter eligibility verification processes through the elimination of vouching. We are expanding access to special ballots to improve voting accessibility and to protect voter privacy. These changes would allow any voter to request a special ballot without needing to provide a reason, and allow special ballots to be sent overseas or to remote locations earlier. And we're protecting integrity by requiring voters to personally request their special ballot. Voters will also be required to vote in their constituency of residence or by special ballot. These changes will ensure that all Albertans have ample opportunity to have their say at election time, and that Alberta's elections are open, secure, and accessible. We are expanding opportunities for Albertans to be involved in direct democracy by making changes to the threshold needed for successful citizens' initiatives. The signature collection time for citizens' initiatives will be extended from 90 days to 120 days. We are also improving the process by setting the threshold to be 10% of the number of eligible voters who participated in the last general election, as opposed to being either 10 or 20% of total registered voters. Additional amendments will update rules to make it easier for Albertans to hold their elected officials accountable through MLA recall. These changes would extend the recall signature collection time from 60 days to 90 days and lower the signature threshold to be 60% of the total number of electors who voted in the electoral district in the most recent election, as opposed to 40% of the total number of electors in the riding. Recall legislation and citizens' initiatives give Albertans more ways to be directly involved in democracy and to have their say on issues that matter to them. There are many more changes in the proposed bill, and Minister Mickey Amery will provide more details about exactly what they cover. But our intent is clear. Democracy is the foundation of our freedoms and the source of legitimacy for governments at every level. It must be protected, strengthened, and defended, and that's exactly what we are doing. We want to make it simple as possible for every Albertan to express their political views and safeguard the system that enables them to do it. These changes build on the integrity, trust, and openness that have always been at the heart of democracy and keep Alberta strong and free.
Well, can't say it much better than that, can you, Sheila Gunn Reid?
Your move, Scott Moe. I mean, this is how you give Albertans an outlet for their frustration with a rigged system of confederation without declaring yourself some sort of separatist. And I don't say that with disdain. If you are a premier of a province in Canada, by default, you are a federalist. You are working within the Confederation. So it would be politically difficult for Danielle Smith to say that she's a separatist, but she realizes that this is a thing a lot of Albertans care about. Just get out of their way.
But I would argue that Quebec just elected 21 MPs as part of a separatist party.
Sure.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander. And being a separatist does not make you a monster in this world.
No.
If Quebec can do it, what's good for them is good for us. And this is part of the conversation that we get to have now as Westerners.
Right.
This is no longer, a protected umbrella that only Quebec gets to live under because they are so precious and special and a unique culture. I would argue that Westerners are a unique culture.
100%. We saw that in the election. We saw that in the election.
Right?
You could literally draw a line. You could draw a line where it changes. And you could draw a line where it changes. You can draw a line where it changes. Then you look in the history books and then you say, oh, that's when those people came here for that reason. Like it literally comports with Canada's history, why we are a separate and distinct culture in the West. This idea that we don't get to talk about these issues out here that people who are separatists get told to shut up. Like, look, you could literally chart the wave of migration for the reason that it came here by voting, by the way we vote.
And I just want to say,
that all the time.
That big red block over Saskatchewan, that's one riding. That is one riding. That entire northern
Buckley
half of the province. That's there he is, good old Buckley Boulanger, popping up again like a bad weed. Made us red in the top half.
He's a former NDPer who just cut out the middleman and
raging socialist.
For the Liberals.
Just jump ship to the Liberals. No, but what Danielle Smith did there is she's taking, I think that we've all thought to ourselves at one point or another, man, there is a break in the feedback loop between the people of the province and the government of the province, where the people of the province can scream until they're blue in the face and the government just doesn't seem to hear them. You know what I mean? They just sort of put their earmuffs on and la-di-da. What Danielle Smith is saying is we are going to make it easier for the people of Alberta to talk to us, to tell us what they want. And as good governors of the province of Alberta, we are obligated to listen to them. We are obligating ourselves to listen to them. And that is an amazing thing that she just did. As a matter of fact, I think that is the gold standard of what premiers should sound like in cases like this. They should always be on side of what the wants of the people of the province are.
Right.
Like that is the only appropriate response. It isn't up to, the government, the people tell the government what they want, and it is up to the government to act. The government works for the people, not the other way around. And in many cases, I feel like governments have got this completely upside down. So kudos to her for hitting the nail right on the head and doing the people of Alberta a real solid and showing our Premier Scott Moe exactly what he must be saying in this moment.
Do you agree with me? It is time to make Canada great again. And that is why we at Rebel News have teamed up with MCGA hats to introduce, the fashion sensation of 2025. Oh, and by the way, these beautiful hats, they are made in Canada. We don't rely on cheap imports coming over from China. So what are you waiting for, folks? Show your pride. This is the perfect thing for a patriot to wear, or maybe there's a patriot in your life that you would like to gift such a hat. Please go to mcgahats.ca. That's mcgahats.ca. Don't be shy about it. Wear this cap. Let everybody know you want to make Canada great again.